Hi, I'm Steve Chenoweth from Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology, and talk is about the poster that my colleague Panos Linos from Butler University in Indianapolis and I did together. The course that we did it on is called Machine Learning in R, and it's a way of introducing computing to a wide audience. So this represents a summary of some of our work studying how the students perform in this course. So the course itself is a step toward introducing computer science and software engineering into undergraduate students who might otherwise not, be considering majoring in computer science or software engineering, but they're interested in machine learning for one reason or another. And so this is like an inducement for them to do this. And so we studied the success of this experiment for, software engineering for all kind of thing, and to see if we could bring it to a wider audience. What it's like for the students, the course is primarily online with a weekly synchronous session, the way we usually teach it. And it's project-based very heavily. So the students pick a data set and then try to implement different machine learning algorithms on it as they go. We have a lot of scaffolding for them to learn this because they don't have a very wide computer science background. Like we have reading in a very good text where they can follow along and try examples using different algorithms. We have a slide guide that presents a wider view, like a presentation, only it's all on PowerPoint. And then they have a quiz and they have homework. And then the project is the main thing they do with their time during any given week. This is one student's work on neural nets, for example, in the week in which they did that. So he was just learning how to set up a very simple neural network and try it out on his data to see what results he got. We listened to a lot of students' perspectives at the end of this course about how well we were able to succeed, particularly in the project in this study. And so how well did they learn the different algorithms, and how well did the strong interest they had in some area that brought them to the course actually play out in trying to work on the project? And how well did this link up to other disciplines? These were all areas of interest. Here's an example of the results one student had, what worked well for them. You can see they got good results with decision trees, especially not so good or not as good with neural networks and so on. And they tried all of these and then compared how they did with how other students did on their projects. So we surveyed them at the end of the course about, how did this go from your perspective, as well as the perceived success that we found? How well did the way we delivered it shape the project for them and deliver the knowledge they were trying to learn about this type of software engineering? So we analyzed their comments, their feedback on this, and mostly it was very positive. And they also had very specific tips, like where they found good data if they didn't come in the door already having that data, and what was difficult for them, what they liked about it especially, and what were the things that were really tough for the people that without the computer science background to understand. The outcomes we thought were pretty decent. I mean, this is observational studies of students reporting back themselves on their own experiences, and we're planning to use this to make changes to the course and things. They thought their projects mostly worked well, and they thought that it did provide computer concepts to them and you know, a wider background, wider range of experience than they had had before in software development. In our future studies, we're considering doing things like CS for all in general. We attended an NSF workshop called Q.Next, for example, where we met with other people that were interested in this same area. How do you broaden the base of where software engineering is taught into a wider number of disciplines in undergraduate studies, for example? We found that getting more students and with more different backgrounds would be something that would be very useful to do. And so we plan to do more of that in the future. We'd like to try variations in our project as well, such as coordinating the teams more remotely. In an online course, keeping teams working together remotely is a well-known difficult thing to do. Many of us lately have had a much wider experience with that than we ever thought we would. And that's been true in this course as well. The teams, if they're all scattered all over the world, for example, it tends to produce some anomalous events like people dropping off the team, and then what do you do because they represented that expertise. We're also moving in the direction of having this as a high flex course, which if you're not familiar with it means a student can opt for taking something online or with classroom enhancement, doing something live in the class as well, and choosing which they want to do in any given session. It's more difficult to do this. Sounds like it doubles the work, and I think it probably does. We're trying to come up with ever more useful data, and the students always run into difficulties. For instance, if they picked all numerical data and then they're trying to do an algorithm that only likes categorical data, and you know they don't have that, what do they do next? So in the most recent iteration of this class that we did since we turned in the poster, we have tried having students have two different sets of data so they actually get you know, data that they can use strongly in both sorts of algorithms in terms of what data it uses. We'd like to try to get them exposure to clients. I don't know how easy that would be, but it's certainly something that we could go for. And standardized QA practices is another area that we could pull in from software engineering. The growth in knowledge and experience of software engineering for machine learning is like growing by leaps and bounds these days. And even in a beginning class like this, it's certainly possible that we could you know, include some of that in the course. So that's our presentation. Thank you very much.